Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to a special mini episodes of Buds and Blue Jays. I'm Jesse Burrell, your host, joined by my co-host Riley McConnell. Riley, what's going on?
Not a whole lot, man. Just still getting used to this time change just a little bit. I feel like I'm still losing sleep, even though I definitely made up that hour Sunday morning. But not much you can do. Looking forward to some nicer weather coming here soon, hopefully.
Yeah, aren't we all, eh? We mentioned on our last episode on Thursday that we expected the Jays to be busy as free agency was opened and moves can be made and transactions can be had. And boy, were they. Their first move they made is they signed left-handed pitcher Yusei Kikuchi to a 3-year, $36 million contract. And Riley, as we talked about on an episode a month ago, we were hoping that Yusei Kikuchi would come here in Blue Jays blue, and sure enough, it happened.
I mean, you say Kikuchi, I say Kikuchi, we all say Kikuchi. You called it, man. You wanted a lefty arm. You wanted a crafty lefty who I just found out that Kikuchi still got some excellent velocity. You called it, man. Bravo to you. Bravo to the Jays. I think that's an awesome pickup, man. And 3 years on that too. And he's no spring chicken, but he's right in the prime of his career. I think this is a great move by Toronto.
Yeah, a little backstory on Kikuchi. He's 30 years old. He came over. He pitched in Japan for years. He came over 2 or 3 years ago with Seattle. Now his first few years in Seattle weren't that great. He's trying to adjust to major league hitters, and he's trying to go from a 6-day rotation to a 5-day rotation. But as you've seen Kikuchi develop throughout the years in Seattle, he's done things different. He had a big looping curveball when he first got here in his first season, and that didn't really work out that way. So he scrapped it, and he developed a new pitch mix. And we'll go on and we'll touch about Kikuchi's pitch mix as we go here. But you talked about the high spin fastball that has. Here's the 4 pitches Kikuchi currently has. His fastball is 95 from the left side. And I think I saw somewhere on Twitter that out of left-handed pitchers who threw like 150 or more innings, Yusei Kikuchi's fastball was the 4th fastest. So when was the last time the Jays had a pitcher from the left-hand side that could throw heat like Yusei Kikuchi can? I think it's been a while.
Certainly it's been a long time for a starting pitcher.
Yeah.
I mean, relievers, you definitely could see it. I mean, even like starters or lefty for us in Toronto, I can't even reconcile if Romero threw that fast. It's been a long time.
Yeah, and so it's going to be very exciting to see this. So one of the analyzing tools that Yusei Kikuchi has. We talked about in our video last month that we thought Yusei Kikuchi could really develop for a nice pitch mix, right? Like his cutter got crushed a lot last year, and his fastball was getting hit a lot too. But you saw towards the second half of last season when Kikuchi kind of had his downfall that he scrapped his cutter because it was getting hit a lot. There was so many home runs being hit off it. He's developed like the splitter / changeup, which gets an elite ground ball rate. He gets a lot of swings and misses on it. So there's hope. We talked then that maybe if he develops that into his pitch mix, that he can go into some untapped potential that we think Yusei Kikuchi might have. So it's going to be very interesting to see Pete Walker get his hands on this guy and to see what he can come up with as we go forward here.
I mean, he's definitely doesn't have the service time at the MLB. We know that. Like you said, he came from Japan. But he is what I would consider a veteran guy, age 30. He's going to be working with probably the best pitching coach in the MLB, or at least the American League, Pete Walker. And if he has that splitter, I mean, I know Gosman's a righty, but you could definitely trick of the trade, work some things back and forth with that. I mean, there's a lot to work with in this scenario. But yeah, if you're a lefty and you're getting lit up throwing a cut fastball to, I assume that would be righties, and it's just finding the barrel every time. It's a good pitch to scrap. So, let's see him work good pitches in Toronto, and hopefully that splitter kind of changeup you said will work for him.
Yeah, and so the thing about Yusei Kikuchi's cutter is that it was actually like really good in 2020, and he used it for a good chunk of the first half, and it was really good. But then about halfway through the season last year, when they had the sticky stuff ban come out, that's when we saw Yusei Kikuchi's velocity dip down a little bit, and then we saw his spin rates on all of his pitches dip a little bit. So I don't know if that's correlation, and then he couldn't throw his cutter as effectively because maybe he can't use sticky stuff anymore or whatnot it is. We don't really know, but there is potential here that maybe the cutter can be better, or maybe he does just scrap it all together. And like you said, he goes with the changeup and the fastball and all that stuff. Kikuchi, though, he's very interesting because if you take his season last year as a whole, he finished with a 4.41 ERA and a little over a strikeout an inning. He had 163 in 157 innings. So a good pitcher. And the Blue Jays are bringing him in right now just to be our fifth starter. Essentially, he's going to be our Steven Matz replacement. So if you get just what he did last year, a 4.41 ERA with more than a strikeout an inning, that's good for your fifth starter. But as we've been talking about before, there's more upside here, and there's potential that Kikuchi could be even better. And yeah, he gets into Pete Walker's hands, he can make some magic happen.
I mean, to call Yusei Kikuchi a five pitcher and in this scenario, I guess is okay. He hasn't pitched an inning for us, but I've looked at his numbers and I've seen a couple of the highlights that courtesy of Bud's Jays have posted and retweeted. He's got great stuff, and especially a lefty that can hit 96 is great. Like, and someone who's gonna get a strikeout an inning, and if you throw in that elite breaking pitch or off-speed pitch to induce ground balls, like you're talking just shy of ace. You're talking a three guy in your rotation.
Right. I did do a little bit more research onto Yusei Kikuchi too, and there seemed to be an inconsistency on his release point. So especially towards the second half of the year, when he was throwing a fastball, so a fastball or cutter, he was releasing it a lot closer to his head. And whenever he'd throw his off speed, it would be a little more further out. And major league hitters can pick up on that quite easily, right? When they know when it's coming just from where they release the ball. Yeah. So yeah. And so I'm sure Pete Walker knows this. I'm sure the Blue Jays know this. And if they can make that correction to make it seem like everything's coming from the same arm slot in the same position, Yusei Kikuchi's pitches are so good that he could be so much better than this. And I really think that's what's going to happen. Like we talked about the slider. We talked about this a month ago, but Yusei Kikuchi's slider compares to Joe Musgrove, Jacob deGrom, and Garrett Cole. And those guys have dynamite electric sliders, and Yusei Kikuchi's up there with him. So it's very interesting. There's this tantalizing guy here that you can dream on if things start to work really well.
Oh, I think you could definitely dream on him. I think he comes in and isn't the best pitcher, isn't the worst pitcher. Like, I think he's going to do a great job this year. He's going to do exactly what we need him to do. Yeah, we're paying him. I think it averages out to $12 million a year.
Yeah. It's front loaded. I think
front loaded contract. Yep. I think that's in a free agency that is going to take off like any minute right now. Like you're probably looking at your phone. You got it probably on the corner of your laptop. He's waiting. Like, you're going to have to pay top dollar to get top players.
Yeah. And and the good thing is too about the front loaded contract here is that we take our shot on Yusei Kikuchi. If what we saw in the second half of last year is more of who he is, like he can't figure it out, he's putting pitches on the middle of the plate, he's still getting hit very hard, then it's only a $10 million contract for the next 2 years. And that's what Tanner Roark was making last year. So it is possible we just scrap it, we cut it and move on. The Blue Jays have a lot of money. So if they have to eat it, I think it's worth the chance of taking a shot on Kikuchi, hoping that his upside can hit. And it weighs a lot more than what the downside would be here.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't think we're gonna have to eat that contract at all, though.
Yeah.
Like I think in that, and let's just hypothetics right now. Let's talk about he's there for 3 years. He pitches 3 full years. We won't talk about the future, whether he decides to resign or whatever's gonna happen. But I think he can really expect. I think he said 4.41 ERA.
Right.
I think he can expect low fours for ERA, and I think with who he's working with in Toronto, I think you'll see his strikeout rate move up just a hint more, which is really going to help his game out. You said he was just over a strikeout per game.
Right.
Now he's at 1 point. What would K per 9 be? I don't know, somewhere in the not double. Yeah, like it'll be like between 9 and 11, basically.
Which I think is perfectly fine for your number 5 starter here, with the chance of being so much better, right? Like you'll take that every time. So I'm excited about Kikuchi. He's going to be one of the guys that we're really going to pay attention to here in spring training. The Jays just made the contract official as of about a month ago, or about an hour ago, sorry. So he's going to be reporting to camp here soon. I can't wait to get our look at Yusei Kikuchi. I know we're going to do our spring training preview episode next week here or later this week. And Kikuchi is going to be one of the main guys I'm focused in to see what mechanical changes Pete Walker is putting onto him. Because if he clicks, this could be the best staff in the American League. And I really don't think it would be that close.
I agree with you there. I also, I think Kikuchi looked great in those Seattle jerseys, and I just want to be very clear. I think Seattle has the worst jerseys in the league. So just imagine how good he's going to look in those Blue Jay blues. Thumbs down on the Mariners, man. Just not a fan of that teal color.
Okay, I'm indifferent. I think I kind of like the teal and how they're doing things out there in Seattle. But
all right, man. All right.
Each their own.
Different strokes for different folks, I suppose.
Yeah. Either way, Kikuchi's has a shutout in his career that game against the Blue Jays. In fact, Kikuchi has always pitched really well against the Toronto Blue Jays. So I think maybe that had something to do with it as well, that Atkins and Shapiro have seen Kikuchi can do it in Rogers Center or against this Blue Jays team, who have had really good lineups while Kikuchi's been in the majors. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see more of him. I was excited a month ago. I'm excited about it now. Let's go. Buckle up.
Great call, Jesse, too. Just throwing that out there again. Great call.
And the Jays weren't done there. They also did add another left-handed pitcher onto their staff. They added left-hander Andrew Vasquez. Now, they signed him to a major league deal. And this guy hasn't pitched much in the majors at all. I think he threw 2 innings with LA, and he pitched for the Twins for a while back. But he's a big guy, left-handed, 6'6". So he's huge. And he's kind of got like this funky delivery to him. And he throws like 90% breaking balls. So he's the Rich Hill kind of guy, because apparently his curveball has so much horizontal movement that it's a huge sweeper. Like as a left-handed batter, it looks like it's starting behind you and then moves all the way to the left side of the plate. So we talk about Jose Barrios having a very like aesthetically pleasing curveball. I think once we get to look at Andrew Vasquez, we're probably going to see a lot of the same here.
Yeah, that would be, I can't speak for you, Jesse, but a tall lefty who throws like that huge loop and curveball. And we're both lefty batters, but I could face that guy 100 times and not even make contact once. Not even close. I think that that's an extremely effective breed of pitcher. Yes, he doesn't have the work in the majors to really back what we're doing here. And I don't know much about this guy, so it's more or less going to be, let's see what spring training brings, and and I'll have more of a solid answer 2 weeks from now on what I actually think. But 6'6", left-hander, 90% breaking balls. That's a unique pitcher. Right. So they signed him to a major league deal too. So he is going to be in the pen and part of this action here, which gives the Jays now 3 left-handers in the pen between Tim Meza, who was excellent last year, and Ryan Borucki, who some coaching staff has said that Ryan Borucki has put in the work this offseason too, and looks like he could be a real gem. So that's now 3 left-handers in this pen. And thankfully, it seems like we're going to have expanded rosters to begin the season. So it looks like all 3 of these guys will be in the bullpen to start. So Montoya's got some great options here to bring out of the pen if you're facing like a Rafael Devers or some of the good left-handers that Baltimore has, like Cedric Mullins. So yeah, the Jays, I think they learned last year how your bullpen can absolutely sink you, like with guys like Dolis and Chatwood early in the year, costing them those games. And the Jays, I think, are putting a point in here to get as many good bullpen guys as they can, so they don't have a blow up like that happened last year. Yeah, going after him right now. With Borucki, Meza, I think Borucki more of your ground ball type. Obviously, was a starter for us. Good two-seamer. Great two-seamer. Meza throws quite a bit harder than I assume this guy. If he's 90% breaking ball, he probably doesn't have much velo. So a good spread, let's say. You got a sinker baller lefty, you got we'll say a strikeout left-hander, and then like a specialist. In the old MLB, when there wasn't the got to face 3 batters or finish an inning, this is the perfect guy, like the 0.1 innings with 1 strikeout next to his name, and then get him out of there. Perfect. And you want your bullpen guys throwing strikeouts. Like if they can pitch a strikeout to get out of a tough jam with runners on, like if Ryu doesn't have it, they bring this guy in and he can strike out 2 guys in a row. Perfect. That's what you want out of your bullpen. Now, Riley, picture this. I'm going to give you a scenario here. Say Alek Manoah comes into the game, he pitches five innings, and we know what Alek Manoah's stuff is and how it all looks and stuff. The next guy out of the pen is this guy, Andrew Vasquez, who's just throwing from the left side all these big looping curveballs and stuff, getting his strikeouts and whatnot. Then the next guy comes in. Say you bring in Nate Pearson, a flamethrower, throwing 103 miles per hour to come out and he faces an inning. Next inning, you bring in Adam Simber, a submariner who throws from like way down to his bottom, very slow, very big moving pitches. And then you close the game out with Jordan Romano, who throws 101 with a wipeout slider. Like, how does that picture to you? Well, geez, if that's well, first of all, they must have been doing something to take Manoah out in 5 innings. But that being said, just the diverse arms that you just brought up, like that's going to screw up a lot of orders. Because if all goes well, what you're saying is you're only going to face that guy once in a game after your starter's out.
Right.
And there's a good chance that Romano's, knock on wood, he's going to go pretty clean in the 9th. He seems to be pretty good at that. That for me is solidified. Unless we go after somebody, but
I think even if we do, unless we trade for Craig Kimball, but I think the 9th is right.
Kenley Jansen too, but I mean, like he's kind of fallen off a little bit. But anyways, Pearson's a flamethrower, and what's his name?
Adam Simber?
No, not Simber. The guy we were just talking about.
Romano? Or Vasquez?
No, not Vasquez. Vasquez. I wanted to say Velasquez, like Vince Velasquez. Vasquez. If you match him up back-to-back innings with Pearson, that's tough, man. Like, what are you gonna do about that?
And we still don't know. The initial reports are Nate Pearson's going to be worked as a starter. He's probably going to end up in Buffalo. But if it ever does happen down the line, that's going to be a dynamite weapon we have there. So those are the 2 big signings that the Jays have made so far. Now, Riley, I don't know if you've been on Twitter at all this afternoon, but there are rumors of flirting going around here about what might be coming next. So we don't have anything official, but take it away. Tell us what we know.
Well, what I know, I'll let you take your part. I'm an Oakland guy. Anyone who's following Oakland knows that they're blowing the team up, which is fine.
Yep.
It's about that time. Matt Olson has made the move from California to his home state of Georgia, the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. I love that for Matt Olson. But what's that do, Jesse? Well, they had this guy named Freddie Freeman, and he's a free agent. All of a sudden, there's no spot for him on first base in Atlanta anymore. I mean, can you see kind of what's happening here?
Yeah, Alex Anthopoulos was even said in tears. Well, he wasn't quite in tears, but he was very worked up, and he said this was the toughest move he's ever had to make. Basically, the signing of Matt Olson there meant Freddie Freeman is not going to be returning to Atlanta. And there was a post on Instagram from Carlos Bajera. He was the guy who broke the Jose Barrios extension to Toronto. He was the guy who announced that Marcus Semien was coming to Toronto last year. This guy seems to have a connection to Blue Jays people and to Blue Jays prospects. So it seems there's a real shot of Freddie Freeman maybe ending up in Toronto this year. We'll see.
That would be mind-blowing. And it wouldn't surprise me at all because I saw Vladdy taking some ground balls at third base. Just to throw that in there. And I said, I think either last episode or the episode before, I wouldn't be surprised if Vladdy was a first baseman for the rest of his career. Now we'll just see, because there's a lot of crazy crap happening around Major League Baseball right now. And the Freddie Freeman thing is, I give it 48 hours, like max time. I mean, we could be done filming here and just have 5 minutes later have a second episode, but the crazy stuff's going on right now in baseball. And one of the craziest things that could happen is, very realistically, I mean, it might happen. So I don't even know if 50-50 is the way you want to call it. There's 3 teams in the running, they said.
Yes, between the Dodgers and the Yankees. And Riley, I have some breaking news.
Yes.
So we don't know anything about Freddie Freeman here yet, but there seems to be momentum towards Freeman and the Dodgers. And the Jays have always had a backup plan. And this is as of 6 minutes ago from John Heyman. Quote, Blue Jays are making a big push for star free agent outfielder / DH Kyle Schwarber, who's very popular coming off an outstanding season in a market where teams suddenly need extra hitters. Many teams have been trying, but Toronto appears to be among the front runners. That was as of 6 minutes ago.
I love it.
Yeah, me too. I feel like Freeman was our number one choice.
Yep. Because now you're letting Vladdy play first base. There's our DH right there.
Yep, and a guy who could spell a little bit in the outfield if we need him too. So I think the Jays. What this really means is we've tried hard for Freddie Freeman. If they just don't feel comfortable with the terms, or if Freeman wants to go to LA, then that's where it seems like it go. And it seems like the Jays are now shifting towards our backup, which is Kyle Schwarber. And we will have to talk about Kyle Schwarber if and when that happens. But yeah, exciting time right now. The Blue Jays are adding. It's so great. I can't wait to get the season underway.
So what you're saying though, in the whole grand scheme of either or, whichever guy playing A, B, C, or D, we're gonna get a lefty bat in that lineup, no matter what. We're gonna get a lefty bat.
If this happens, I don't know what that means for any Ketel Marte trades or Jose Ramirez trades or who's the other guy? Oh, Matt Chapman trade.
We're probably not. Like, I don't want to spoil any other Matt Chapman lovers out there, but we're probably not getting them, which is fine because we're making the right moves right now. That's why I'm talking into a screen and not managing the Toronto Blue Jays, right?
I don't know. Who's see? Either way, I'm sure we'll talk about it if it happens, if the Jays do sign Schwarber or Freeman or whatever happens, it's going to go on here. But that's it. That is it for a quick episode of Talk Here. We wanted to get our Kikuchi information in there, plus talk about Vasquez. Anything else you want to add, Riley?
No, man. Just again, bravo, Jesse. You called it. The first player you named in our who do we go after, and you nailed it, man. You nailed it. You nailed it. You nailed it. And I have really high hopes for this guy too. I think he's going to do great, and I think that's the right call. Also, the Vasquez guy, Andrew Vasquez, that's just a great weapon. That's just a great weapon to have.
Yeah. So looking forward to it. You're going to hear from us later this week. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at BudsJays. We've got quite a bit of a following on there now, so you don't want to miss out. You want to get out there. And a big shout out too to our YouTube channel. We just hit 50 subscribers. So make sure you like and subscribe so you can say you are part of our first 100 here as we do this all season long. Peace, everyone. We'll see you again soon.